Lesson 11 Sahih Muslim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma akhrijna min zulumatil wahm wa akrimna binuril fahm. Allahumma aftah alayna abwaba rahmatik wanshur alayna khazaina ulumik birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Welcome to Lesson 11 about Sahih Muslim of Module 2, History of Hadith Compilations of the course on Hadith. In the previous lesson about Sahih al-Bukhārī, we have learned that of the 6 Sunnī Sahihs or Sihah Sittah, Sahih al-Bukhārī by Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhārī is regarded as the first and the most reliable book of Hadith, such that it is considered second to the Quran in authority. Because of his different travels undertaken to acquire knowledge and hear traditions, possession of strong memory and meticulousness in recording traditions, Bukhari has been admired by all Sunni Hadith scholars and biographers. Based upon the recommendation of Bukhari's teacher, that is Ishaq ibn Rahuya, the book Sahih al-Bukhārī has been compiled with the aim of collecting the authentic from a collection of 600,000 narrations. The author's personality, oldness of the book, and accuracy and meticulousness in recording are among the factors for the prominence of the book. Sahih al-Bukhārī contains 7,536 traditions or ahadith, which have been given commentary sharh by a group of hadith scholars or muhaddithun. Now, let us deal with Sahih Muslim. Next to Sahih al-Bukhārī, Sahih Muslim, which is compiled by Muslim ibn Ḥajjāj Qashīrī al-Nayshābūrī, is described as the second reliable Sunni collection of hadith, and some scholars have even given preference to it over Sahih al-Bukhārī. In order to be familiar with this book, we shall first examine the biography of its compiler. There is no specific or exact information about the birth of Muslim an-Nayshābūrī. Ibn Khalikan says, I have not seen any historian recording Muslim's exact date of birth. Some say that he was born either in 202 after Hijrah or 204. But most probably the correct year of birth is 206 after Hijrah. It is said that he was trained in an educated family, and his father is described as one of the hadith teachers. And without any doubt, his father had been initially influential in encouraging him to study religious sciences and the Quran in particular. Meanwhile, there is a difference of opinion as to whether he belonged to Qashīrī, a famous Arab tribe, or one of its dependents, or Muwali. He was born in Nayshabur. For this reason, he is called al-Nayshābūrī. And Nayshabur was also considered one of the most outstanding scientific and hadith centers in the then Muslim world. Yaqut Hamawi has regarded this city as the bastion of scholars and intellectuals, and in the book Al-Muntakhab min Sayyaq li-Tarikh Nayshabur, Abul Hasan Abdul Ghafir al-Farsi has enumerated the names of 1,678 scholars of this city. It is said that at the age of 12, he started learning hadith in Nayshabur from Yahya ibn Bakir Tamimi al-Nayshabūrī, Ishaq ibn Rahuya, and Qutayba Sa'id. Then, for further studies and learning traditions from Hadith teachers, in addition to the various cities of Khurasan, he also went to Makkah, Medina, Kufa, Basra, Balkh, Egypt, Sham, and Ray. In each of these cities and intellectual Hadith centers, he would stay for some time and learn Hadith from great and famous Muhaddithun. It is said that Muslims' travels are of two kinds. One, the travels he had undertaken for studies, learning Hadith, and getting acquainted with Hadith teachers. Second, the travels he had undertaken for teaching, narrating, and spreading Hadith to the people. His interest and desire for such activities was such that, with the exception of his obligatory Hajj pilgrimage to Mecca, all his travels were meant for learning or teaching the sciences of Hadith. Muslims studied under the tutelage of many Hadith teachers. In the introduction to Sahih Muslim, the names of 215 teachers are mentioned. It is said that in Sahih Muslim, he has narrated Hadith from 120, but from among them, a few serve as his teachers, exerting the greatest influence on his training and education. They are as follows: Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhārī, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Ishaq ibn Rahuya, Abu Zar'a al-Razi, Qutayba ibn Sa'id, and Yahya ibn Yahya Tamimi al-Munkari. It is clear that Muslim ibn Ḥajjāj benefited from the teachers who also trained Bukhari. It is said that Ibn Ḥajjāj had a particular interest and faith in Bukhari and always interacted with him. Even at the time when Bukhari was expelled from Naysābūr on account of his belief in the createdness or khalq of the Quran, Muslim did not stop interacting with him, although on account of this interaction, he was subjected to reproach. "35 have been mentioned as Muslim ibn Ḥajjāj students, some of whom are as follows: Abu Isa at-Tirmidhi, the compiler of the famous Sunan at-Tirmidhi; Hafiz Abu Awana as-Sifraini, the author of al-Mustakhraj ala Sahih Muslim; Abdurrahman ibn Abi Hatam al-Razi, the author of al-Jarh wa Ta'dil; and Ibrahim ibn Muhammad ibn Sufyan al-Faqih, the author of Rawi Sahih. Other works. Apart from his Sahih, Muslim has also other written works, some of which are still extant, while others did not survive. In the introduction to Sahih Muslim, the titles of 36 of his works are mentioned, and of his extant works, the following books can be mentioned: Al-Asami wal-Kuna. In other books, it is called Al-Asma wal-Kuna, Asma'ur Rijal, At-Tamyir, At-Tabaqat, Tabaqatul Tabi'in, and Kitabul Mukhadaramin. As can be noticed from the titles of his works, Muslim had a special interest and expertise in Hadith, chains of transmission or asnad, and rijal. There are differences of opinion concerning Muslim's school of jurisprudence. Ibn Qayyim has included him in the ranks of the Hanbalis. In Tabaqatul Hanabila, Ibn Abi Ya'la also considered him a Hanbali. By regarding him as one of the companions and students of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, some have also implicitly considered him a Hanbali, while others identified him as Maliki. Waliullah Dehlawi, Ibrahim ibn Abdul Latif, Haji Khalifa, and Sadiq Hassan Khan have included him in the ranks of the Shafi'is, although in Tabaqatu Shafi'iyya, Sabaki has not mentioned him as Shafi'i. Speaking of theological school of thought, Muslim belonged to the Salafi madhab, which he learned from such teachers as Bukhari, Ibn Hanbal, Ibn Rahuya or Ibn Rahuya, and Abu Zar'a al-Razi. He had a special attachment to the Sunni Imams, and while believing in the sublime station of God, the Exalted, he subscribed to Bukhari's belief in the createdness of the Quran. For this reason, he left the class session of Muhammad ibn Yahya al-Dhahabi. It is said that along with intellectual pursuits, Muslim used to engage also in drapery and earning a living by investing the assets and wealth at his disposal. Finally, he passed away in the month of Rajab in the year 261 after Hijrah and was buried in his hometown. Muslim ibn Ḥajjāj al-Nayshābūrī's Sahih is the second most authoritative Sunni collection of Hadith next to Sahih al-Bukhārī, which in turn is considered the most authentic book after the Quran, although some authorities have preferred Sahih Muslim over other books, including Sahih al-Bukhārī. Muslim compiled his book in reply to the request of one of the Hadith authorities with the aim of organizing the book of Hadith, which have not separated authentic traditions from the unauthentic ones. It is said that he spent 15 years compiling it. Hussein ibn Muhammad Masarji says thus, I heard from my father, who heard Muslims saying, I have compiled this authentic musnad from out of 300,000 traditions. Muslim himself did not give any title to his book. For this reason, there are differences of opinion about its title. Some scholars like Firuz Abadi, Ibn Hajar, Baghdadi, Haji Khalifa, Qanuji, and Qitani named it Al-Jami', while Ibn Athir al-Nawawi, Ibn Khalikan, al-Dhahabi, Ibn Kathir, and Ibn Ammad called it as-Sahih, and this title is more popular. What can be narrated from Muslim concerning his book is that he mentioned it as Al-Musnad or Al-Musnadus Sahih. It is explained that the traditions in his books are authentic and a proof between him and his Lord, and he is reported to have said, in this Musnad I have not mentioned any tradition except with reference, and I have not excluded any tradition except on the basis of evidence. It is said that the conditions set by Muslim are the same conditions set by Bukhari, except that in narrating Hadith, Bukhari took actual meeting between the narrator and the Sheikh as a condition apart from their being contemporaneous, while Muslim considered sufficient their being contemporaneous and their actual meeting as unnecessary. Sahih Muslim has 7,275 traditions, and with the omission of the repetitive ones, it contains 3,033 traditions. The status of Sahih Muslim in the views of Sunni scholars. In appreciating Sahih Muslim and its compiler, An-Nawawi has thus stated, anyone who carefully reads Sahih Muslim pays attention to the chains of transmission or asnad, arrangement, wholesome selection and original style, valuable researches, worthy precisions, piety, meticulousness in narrating tradition, conciseness, brevity of channels or turuk, recording of traditions, and scattered channels in his book, and takes into account the vastness of his knowledge about Hadith and his other merits, will find out that Muslim is a forerunner who has not been surpassed by anyone after him, and only a few of his contemporaries could be considered his equal or close to his intellectual standing. Hafiz ibn Manda says, I heard Abu Ali al-Nayshābūrī saying, under the sky there is no book more authentic than the book of Muslim. Al-Dhahabi has also stated, Sahih Muslim is a precious book and complete in its content, and when the Hufaz or memorizers of Hadith saw it, they were amazed by it. Because of the merits they have ascribed to Sahih Muslim, such as wholesome arrangement, accuracy, and efforts with respect to the variation of words and texts of the traditions, some scholars have preferred it over others, including Sahih al-Bukhārī. Ibn Kathir thus writes, Mughariba and Abu Ali al-Nayshābūrī of Masharqa have given preference to Sahih Muslim over Sahih al-Bukhārī. He has also added thus, if what he means is that in Sahih Muslim, in contrast to Sahih al-Bukhārī, there are no comments except a few, and Muslim would collect all traditions in a single place, and like Bukhāri's segmentation, he would not place the traditions in various sections or abwab, then this claim is correct, but these merits are not equal to the strength of Bukhari's chains of transmission and their selection in the Sahih, or to being contemporaneous and Muslims hearing of Hadith from Bukhari. An-Nawawi says, Imam Abu Abdurrahman an-Nasa'i is reported to have said, what are included in this book are better than those included in Bukhari's book. Al-Dhahabi has also stated on the authority of Abi Amr al-Hamdan, I asked Ibn Uqba, who is more Hafiz, Bukhari or Muslim? He said in reply, both Muhammad, Bukhari and Muslim are learned. I repeated my question and he answered, Bukhari has made 4 mistakes on the people of Sham, for he has taken their books, taking a glance at them, and in one place he has implicitly referred to someone and explicitly mentioned his name in another place, while thinking him to be 2 separate persons. But in a few instances, Muslim has made a mistake in the ilal, for he wrote musnads and not maqtas and mursals. Fuad Sazgin also believes that with respect to wholesome arrangement, Sahih Muslim is superior to Bukhari's book. By taking into account the statements quoted above on the comparison and contrast of Sahih al-Bukhārī and Sahih Muslim, the following points can be inferred. 1. Owing to precedence over Sahih Muslim, Bukhari's status as teacher and narrator in relation to Muslim, and Bukhari's vast knowledge, for the Sunnis in general, Sahih al-Bukhārī is superior to Sahih Muslim. 2. In terms of both structure and chain of transmission or sanad, Sahih Muslim is assessed to be superior to Sahih al-Bukhārī. 2a. Superiority in sanad. As Muslim himself stated in his introduction to the Sahih in narrating traditions from the narrators, he has paid attention to specific guidelines in terms of reliability and arrangement. And as Ibn Uqda has said, he was more cautious in accurately recording the names of the narrators. B. Structural superiority. In contrast to Bukhari, in his Sahih, Muslim has paid attention to the following points which have bestowed credibility to his book. The book has a more suitable ordering and arrangement. Muslim has quoted the traditions in one place and refrained from segmenting them in certain sections. After quoting a tradition, Muslim has mentioned other channels or turuq and their variation in sanad and matan. In the introduction to his Sahih, at the initial part of the book, Muslim has made mention of a request of someone, most probably one of the scholars and muhaddithun, from him to compile a comprehensive book of hadith. Then, by dividing into three groups the traditions reported from the Prophet, Muslim explains his criteria in accepting traditions. Among the commentaries on Sahih Muslim are as follows: Al-Minhaj fi Sharh Sahih Muslim ibn Ḥajjāj Akmalul Muallim and its commentary Mukammilul Akmalul Kamal, and Ad-Dibaj ala Sahih Muslim ibn Ḥajjāj. Al-Minhaj fi Sharh Sahih Muslim ibn al-Ḥajjāj. This commentary is written by Yahya ibn Sharafuddin an-Nawawi, who was one of the renowned hadith scholars during the 8th century after Hijrah. He was born in 631 AH in the town of Nawa in the suburbs of Damascus, and he learned the sciences of hadith from such scholars as Ibrahim ibn Isa al-Muradi, Abu Ishaq Wasiti, Abu al-Faraj ibn Qudama al-Muqaddasi, and others. Credited to him are 26 literary works, among which are Ar-Rawdah, Riyadhus Salihin, At-Tibyan, and Al-Irshad. In the introduction to his commentary, An-Nawawi has elaborately explained the writing style and salient features of his book. As acknowledged by Sunni Hadith authorities, An-Nawawi's commentary is the most reputable commentary on Sahih Muslim. This commentary is published in 18 volumes in 9 book racks. Number 2, Akmal al-Muallim and its commentary Mukammilul Akmalul Kamal. Akmalul Muallim is a commentary on Sahih Muslim written by Qadi Ayyad, which is no longer extant. Akmalul Muallim is an emendation to Qadi Ayyad's commentary written by Muhammad ibn Khalifa ibn Umar at-Tunisi, better known as Ubay. In reality, this book, which contains commentaries by Qadi Ayyad, Ubay, and Sanusi on Sahih Muslim, is published in 9 volumes. Number 3, Ad-Dibaj ala Sahih Muslim ibn al-Ḥajjāj. This commentary is written by Abdurrahman Abu Bakr Jalaluddin as-Suyuti, one of the prolific Sunni muhaddithun and authors, who was born in Maghrib in 849 after Hijrah. In his biography, it is said that 7 branches of knowledge are identified with him, namely Quranic exegesis or tafsir, hadith, jurisprudence or fiqh, syntax or nahu, meanings, rhetorics, ma'ani wal bayan, and figures of speech or ilmul badi'. In the introduction to Ad-Dibaj, Suyuti says that after writing the commentary at Tawshīḥ on Sahih al-Bukhārī, he has decided to write a similar commentary on Sahih Muslim. And in this commentary, he has engaged in recording strange expressions, elucidating the difference in traditions, etc. Edited by Abu Ishaq al-Jawini al-Athari, this commentary is published in 9 volumes. Key points of the lesson. Next to Sahih al-Bukhārī, Sahih Muslim by Muslim ibn Ḥajjāj al-Nayshābūrī is the second most reliable collection of hadith by the Ahlus Sunnah. Muslim has collected out of 30,000 narrations and compiled it for a period of 15 years. He presented it to prominent hadith scholars like Abu Zar'a al-Razi. Containing 7,275 traditions, Sahih Muslim has been admired by all Sunni muhaddithun, preferring it to Sahih al-Bukhārī on account of wholesome arrangement, the citation of channels or turuq, and the variety of the chain of transmitters or sanad and text or matan of the traditions. Some have even regarded it as absolutely more prominent than Sahih al-Bukhārī. Muslim identified refinement of narrations, separation of the pure from the adulterated, and presentation of a systematic hadith treatise in terms of the citation of channels or turuq and citation and chains of transmitters or asnad, and the presence of the repetition approach in it as his motives behind compiling this book. Apart from the acknowledgement of Muslim himself that not all the traditions contained in his book are authentic or sahih, some hadith scholars have even doubted the veracity of all traditions in Sahih Muslim. Better known as Sharh al-Nawawi, al-Manhaj fi Sharh Sahih Muslim ibn al-Ḥajjāj by Nawawi, is considered the most important and most comprehensive commentary or sharh on Sahih Muslim. Next meeting, we will deal with Sunan Abu Dawud, inshallah. For more similar lessons, subscribe to Wayfaring with Mansoor channel. Thank you. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.